This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, times, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and of course, the Auburn family. Since it's about family, let's get some of those members of that little familial, is that a word? Familial unit here. You heard him right there. The number one co-host in the land, Mr. Austin Scott, alongside me, your host, Kyle Loomis. Welcome back after a week off, sir.
Thank you. War Eagle to you. War Eagle to our listeners. We're back. Plenty happened. We're going to discuss it all.
So many things to discuss. And I always make the mistake of going on vacation when the big things happen.
Well,
you can't live your whole life around Auburn as much as we act like it here on this show,
that's
right?
True.
It is the Auburn experience. That means it's a roller coaster ride. Little hint, hint, wink, weed about what's coming up there at the end of the show. But that means you might miss a few things and be in the valley, even when. Anyway, that analogy was good, and then it started getting away from me.
It's okay. It's okay.
Much like a roller coaster ride.
You're coming back from vacation.
I'm getting back in the saddle. I'm ready. Here we go. We're going to start off with Auburn potpourri, just a bunch of random stuff that we're not going to spend a whole segment on. I want to jump into it right here. I know one thing right on the top of most every college football fan's mind, and if it's not, are you even a college football fan? NCAA college football, I think is the official title for 20.
EA college football.
There you go. EA college football. The cover has been released, and if you look on the cover, although you have to squint your little bitty eyes, you will see Auburn in that cover. It is the flag. There's a bunch of smoke around it, but it is clearly that beautiful, beautiful orange and blue. Are you shocked, Austin, that we made the cover?
No, I'm not. And I think that with this, looks like this is the deluxe cover edition. Don't know what that means.
It's expensive. That's what it means.
Expensive. And I just want to throw this out from the top. Any potential sponsors, I still don't have a console and cannot afford a console where I can play this game. So if you'd like me to wear anything and everything and stream myself playing it, hit me up.
Hit us both up. How about that?
Otherwise, I'll just be watching other people play it. Anyway, so we could do a whole episode playing it if you'd like us to. We'd be happy. We'd be happy to do that.
We turn this whole show into just playing it.
I would.
Every single show, every single Sunday night, we'll just play a game. I'll whip Austin's tail.
Anyway, no, I'm not surprised we made it. I was kind of thinking that as I was looking at the cover. I mean, Auburn is well regarded as one of the top 15 programs in history in college football, so they should be on it. I did think it was weird that there were teams that got to pull both. You mentioned Auburn as a flag. There was also a Michigan flag, but a Michigan guy's right in the middle, and so I thought that was kind of.
They are the champions.
Sure, but there were other instances of that, especially the one across the state. But I mean, so I get it, but I was happy to see Auburn was prominent and not just like we were all scanned. Now I did scan every little helmet to see if I could find the back of our helmet with our Northwestern power stripe, but I did not find it. So I'm glad we had a flag.
We made the cover in the return. That's all that matters. And don't let Hugh Freeze cook too long, and we'll be prominently on future covers of that. Another little bit of potpourri news, kind of something that's very fresh as of us recording this. Auburn softball has officially made the NCAA tournament as a number 2 seed in
where?
In the Tallahassee Regional. What does that mean?
Not Clemson Regional.
No more Clemson. No more Clemson.
Are they even hosting?
I don't know.
I don't have a clue.
I have no clue, but I am so thankful that we are not going to see Clemson.
It probably doesn't even matter who's hosting based on some of the people that actually got to host that don't deserve it. But
there's
save
always
that discussion for another day.
But
we're back. We're in it. We're a 2 seed. We're in it.
That is important. And I think it's never been a question really that Auburn softball wasn't going to make the NCAA tournament. They had done enough throughout the year to show that they deserve to be in the conversation for that. Prominently is where they fall in that discussion is the bigger topic.
Correct.
They make it Mickey Dean's last year officially. We've discussed this on previous shows, so a great way for him to go out. I would also, and I said this to you privately, but I'll say it here. I think that kind of maybe would always garner us a little bit of a sympathy vote, give Mickey Dean one last run at the NCAA tournament. Regardless of how it happens, I'm happy that our ladies are getting rewarded to go out there. And you look how you performed during the regular season. It matters. But what most matters right now is in the postseason play. So we'll watch that with a lot of excitement and fervor. One thing I want to mention, and we talked about it 2 weeks ago in our last episode, the arriving of graduation, but we haven't talked about it post. I get these feels, Austin, every single time I see these people walking across stage. See Aubie, shaking hands with them. He comes out in his cap and gown. How many times has Aubie graduated, by the way? I mean, I feel like
he's got a 47-time doctorate degree and like whatever is above that.
He basically at this point has reached a level that can't be described of doctorate. Like it's not even a doctorate anymore.
It's like a I can't think of a word.
I didn't know where you're going. I was going to let you keep swimming that out as much as you wanted to.
I drowned. I was going to say chancellor, but I don't like that. So I don't know. I really wanted to give you a word there.
We'll call it
Supreme Leader.
Supreme Leader. What are we? We Star Wars here now or something? But it was good to see all of that again. I want to bring this up too about comments made by Hugh Freeze this week, and I believe it was at the Regions Golf Tournament that's held in Birmingham every year for charity, and it's a good opportunity, kind of post spring, for not just Auburn but a lot of football coaches to make some comments about their teams. He was asked about the quarterback situation. Why didn't Auburn, and people quote unquote, why didn't Auburn go after someone? Doesn't mean they didn't, but why didn't they
land
anybody? What was the strategy? And he discussed this a little bit and said he really felt like their eggs were best placed in the Peyton Thorne basket, which I think is a bit of a buzzkill for a lot of our fans that are very emotional and unrealistic. But there you go. Straight from the horse's mouth. There's no arguing it. Peyton Thorne's the guy, Austin. I think it's done at this point.
Yeah. And I think it's important to provide a little bit else of what he said in terms of building around Peyton Thorne instead of paying the $1 million, which has widely been kind of considered the going rate these days if you're landing a portal quarterback. That he believes that Peyton Thorne, if given enough around him, can be successful. And I think he's got evidence of that on the field through his days at Michigan State. Good receivers, good running backs, led to a good offense from him, and him as a good leader in that offense. And I think that's what Auburn's hoping for this year. I think people don't really recognize that you don't get a Keandre Lambert-Smith if you go and pay $1 million for a quarterback. You don't get, the Robert Lewis, Sam Jackson if you go pay all that money for a quarterback, or the absolute haul of a defensive line we've gotten if you allocate those funds. It's not an unlimited amount. It's not for any school. Then don't believe anybody that's telling you that it is. So I thought it was good to hear from him. And now he didn't say he'll never go after a big fish in the quarterback pool. So there's definitely the time and place for that. But I think he believes in Peyton Thorne, and I think Auburn fans should too, given the weapons we've got around him, that he can be successful.
And I think it's just, I continue to like Hugh Freeze's candidness with what he shares about his perspective on things. And he's often said and quoted as such in his press conference. Maybe I said too much there. I'm stepping out of line. But to me, it is very refreshing when someone just comes out and gives you the reasons and not just says, this is the decision I made, but this is why we made the decision we made. We believe in Peyton Thorne. We do not also want to spend the oodles of money that it's going to take to get somebody when we have somebody we believe in. So if that's not the vote of confidence that sells you on this as an Auburn fan, then you can't be helped. That's where I stand on it.
I continue to say, look at the results of the second year of the transfer quarterbacks and the jump that they make after being in it for a second year. If I can understand that, Hugh Freeze understands that. We'll see how it goes.
Well put, sir. Very well put. Well, that is a good roundup. A lot of things we left out there, but just to get us started back after a 2-week hiatus, an Auburn potpourri, lots more that we'll continue to ruminate on and discuss throughout the summer, because we're basically there at this point after the spring sports get wrapped up here. But let's move into the rest of our show. Coming up next, we got two main topics for you. We're going to talk about Auburn football's 2025 SEC schedule. A little bit of old news, but it's something we haven't ruminated on a little bit. Why is that my word tonight?
I don't know. That's the second or third time.
I don't know. It's not. Maybe I picked it up while I was on vacation. Anyway, 2025 SEC schedules, and then we're going to talk about what if Auburn, the Auburn experience, the whole Auburn experience, was a Disney ride. All that's coming up next. But first, let's talk about our friends at Magic Mind. Let me just tell you this, Austin. I've said this to you privately. I'm going to say it to you now. I had a bit of a day today.
Did you?
I was in a little bit of a wreck, a car wreck. Not my fault. But not my fault. I'm okay. But I can tell you this much. I'm going to be sore tomorrow. I'm going to need a little bit of a pick-me-up. Folks, we've got the pick-me-up for you. Whether you are a coffee drinker, you're an energy drink person, let's be honest, sometimes those things can not have such great effects for you, side effects, or just ramifications of taking in this substance that gives you that energy. What you need is a clean, more natural source of energy, in addition to maybe also what you're already doing. We've got them with our friends at Magic Mind. Visit them at magicmind.com/Auburn and use our code AUBURN for that 20% off a one-time purchase. Now, again, I've tried it myself. I'm someone that is very skeptical sometimes when it comes to supplements or an addition to something such as an energy drink, but I've tried it myself. I can attest to how good it tastes, how much it has helped me in focus and energy. And I would really suggest that you all try that if you have not so as well, especially if you've been in a wreck like myself and you're going to need to pick me up after that. Again, magicmind.com/Auburn. Use that code AUBURN. Spell it out like you're at a football game for that percentage off the subscription or that one-time purchase. We have got a big topic tonight that we have been sitting on, Austin, for a while. We are not in football season, but we got to talk about football. 2025 football. It's a ways of the way out there. What we're going to discuss is the SEC 2025 schedule that was released. I don't know. What was it at this point, Austin? Like, was it March?
It's been a minute. Something like mid-March, maybe.
Maybe like that. So that tells you how long I've been sitting on this thing. We have a lot to analyze with that, but it is also very familiar because it's literally the exact opposite of what we're doing this year. So there is still stuff to talk about, but it's kind of just more of the same.
Is it in the same order? Do we know that yet?
We don't know the order. That's a great question. Let's start off there. We don't know the dates of basically everything, minus take it to the bank. The Iron Bowl will be the last game of the year.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about the full schedule, some of those have already been announced at the beginning of the year. Like, that the UCLA game that year is going to be played early.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Remember about that. But we're focusing on the.
It's Baylor, isn't it?
I believe it's UCLA next. I think we got a home and home.
25.
I think it's UCLA home and home, Baylor home and home, Miami home and home, and then after that, I think we're open. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Research.
We're focusing on the SEC aspect of it. Obviously, you could call this like a preview of sorts if you want to. More just kind of way too early analysis of it at this point. So let me give you the rundown of what is in the SEC schedule. This is your home schedule for 2025. Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri at home. Away will be Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. Again, this is the exact opposite of what it was, or what it will be, I guess, in 2024, since we haven't played that, depending on when you're watching this, that particular schedule yet. So the first thing that I want to start with, Austin, is we heard a lot about a talk with Oklahoma and Texas joining that the 2024 schedule was going to be not it was going to be a placeholder. Let me put it to you that way. Not a precedent. And then suddenly we've reversed course for a year and we're doing the exact same thing, just opposite, which If Auburn had to redo it again, you've got some names on there you probably want to see a few times. Let's point that out. There's also some names on there you'll see every year that make it still quite challenging. Thoughts on that? Are you okay with this, trying it for a second year?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I think it kicks the can down the road for them to really decide what they want to do in terms of like the format of 8 or 9 conference games, as well as you gonna have, what are your permanent rotation opponents, things like that. That doesn't seem like that's been defined by just extending this another year and just flipping everybody home and away. I think it's fine though. For Auburn especially, I'm fine with it. You read, remind me again, Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama, and Missouri at home.
Missouri at home, you got it.
Love that. I love every bit of those 4 at home. I think those are much tougher than the 4 on the road, with Vanderbilt, A&M, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. So I'm happy with that. I hope that they do announce kind of a plan for the future in terms of who are your rotational opponents. Or we do it 8 or 9, because I don't think that you can get away with not having that set for much longer.
Here's my take on why this is continuing. Because I think the precedent has been set by Greg Sankey that, and whether we go back to decisions made during COVID and stuff like that, being very forward and not following the current of things, of just trying to make the best decision for the future. I trust in his decision making. And so if he had to reverse course and just do this again for a year, what that tells me is there's more coming we're not privy to, but you can probably guess what it is. Realignment, additions. We don't know what the ACC feel like it's going to implode at any point. And, Florida State, Clemson are going to go here and there all around the square. So we just don't know what could happen at this point. I felt like this was a decision made out of necessity because of what they know is coming, whether it's NIL, all these different things. That's my take on it about why we're continuing it. But when we talk about what we know right now with this schedule, what is more favorable to you? Or I guess it's always going to be more favorable at home, but how do you like this schedule compared to the one that will precede it in 2024? Like, do you think it's an easier schedule in 2020, SEC schedule in 2024 versus 2025 with the roles reversed at home and away?
That's a good question.
Again, here, I'll give it to you just kind of as a thought-provoking thing. You've got on the road at Arkansas. You've got on the road Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt. At home, Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri.
Now, look, I think my gut says I think 25 does sound easier for.
I think so
at the beginning, and I'm happy with 24 schedule. We've talked about that at length in a previous episode. It's about time Auburn got some help in the scheduling after. I mean, you already play Alabama and Georgia every year. That's right. You almost take that out of it. You know that's coming in the odd years. You're going to have them at home. So that already, like you said, kind of lends itself to being easier. But then you look at Kentucky and Missouri are 2 East teams that have slowly but surely risen up right behind Georgia in that upper echelon of at least being competitive. Then you look at so you get them at home in 25.
Yeah.
Then you look at on the road in 25, you got Auburn North and Vanderbilt. You got Arkansas, who might be on a new coach by then. You got Oklahoma, who might be on a new coach by then, still figuring out the SEC, and then A&M, it's A&M. Auburn's had plenty of success at Kyle Field. So I'm gonna lock into 25. I think is more to look forward to and easy. Now, hey, you got to win all your games. You still got to win. You still got to go out there and compete. Who knows what rosters will be like by then? In another 2 portal sessions by then. So, yeah, but I think my gut says 25.
So if you look at this schedule right here, you've got Alabama with second year under Kalen DeBoer, unless they have an absolute implosion, which would be hilarious to watch and watch him get run out of town in a handbag. You've got Georgia, who we have no indication that they're going to fall apart. So you just know it's going to be Georgia. You tell me, is Kentucky and Missouri especially still going to be legitimate in 2 years' time?
Missouri depends on this year. Last year was obviously a great year for them. Cotton Bowl win over Ohio State. Huge year. Drinkwitz had a huge year. Great for him. Now, I think you can make an argument if they have another great year this year, is Drinkwitz still there?
Right.
But I think that they have a blueprint, at least it looks like they can be successful. But I don't know if Kentucky and Missouri both. It feels like one of them has to take that step to where it's the second team behind Georgia. It's not going to be Florida. I don't see Florida. I think they have long been up there in the top 2 of the East for forever, and I don't think that's happening anymore. Are we allowed to still call it the West and the East? Are we doing top 2 teams in the SEC now?
You're allowed to do whatever you want to do, even if it's incorrect, because we've been used to it forever.
That is the state of the world at this point, isn't it?
And that's a different commentary. That's a different commentary for another show. But if you want to do it, you can do it here.
No, but you know what I mean when I say that, East and West. So I don't know where I'm going to put Texas and Oklahoma, but I think either Missouri or Kentucky will become that team. Mark Stoops is really good. It's like 9 wins is the plateau, it feels like.
And I hate that for him because I think he has made Kentucky relevant to the conversation every single year. We're talking about Kentucky as a part of the conversation at midpoint every single year under Mark Stoops. I think he's a great coach. I just don't know that he can get there under Kentucky to another level. Right. Because it's Kentucky and all they care about is basketball. So to me, I look at the home schedule and I think what you are probably going to expect out of that is, I think it's safe to say that Auburn is probably in a very solid, maybe just above 50-50 shot of winning Kentucky, Missouri. I think you can probably get the Alabama or the Georgia game at home, especially we've just seen how the Iron Bowl has gone with teams that had no business.
You're due. Yep.
No business competing against an Alabama team under Harsin and under first year Hugh Freeze, and it took seconds. Cue 4th and 31 jokes, which I will retort with 4th and 3 jokes. That in and of itself shows you that you should probably get one of those there. So I would feel comfortable saying, and in the home portion of this SEC schedule, 3-1 is highly probable. Is that a fair statement?
No, I think that's a fair statement.
So if I had to ask you, looking at this away schedule again, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, what do you think?
I'll say Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. I'll say 3-1 as should be bare minimum.
Yes, I think that's a fair statement because you've got Vanderbilt.
You can win them all, but you should. I think 3-1's. If you're going 2-2, something went wrong.
Vanderbilt, sorry Vanderbilt, you're Vanderbilt. Arkansas, I just don't believe in the Sam Pittman experiment anymore, and I never did.
It's going to end. Yep.
Yeah, so I think they're going to be on a downward trend. Oklahoma, I think, is in for a rough awakening, but I think they could rebound in a year or two, getting their feet. That's challenging. Texas A&M, it's a weird series these days. It used to be the away team always won.
It's going to be Elko's second year.
Exactly, and I think that'll be a little bit more solid ground. So let's look at this. If you say where are your most likely losses in the home and the away portions, I say at home it's Georgia. Away it's probably Texas A&M.
Yeah,
is that fair?
I would agree.
Outside chance at Oklahoma. So with that in mind, Austin, just as a final piece of this,
you're going to ask the question I was about to ask. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to beat you to it. What is the record for just way too early?
That's not what I was going to ask you.
Oh, no. Okay. You go ahead then.
I'll ask him. No, I'll ask him on after. I think way too early. Now, way too early. We're talking whole record, right?
We're talking whole record. What you know?
So I am going to tell you that it is at Baylor.
Oh, is that wrong?
Which you and I need to know, but for personal reasons, since we have connections out there.
We do.
Yes, we opened the season at Baylor in 2025.
Where did we change this around?
It might have changed, but UCLA is next after that series.
I swear it was a home and home.
So at Baylor, who also could be on a new coach in 25. So and so then your non-con is at Baylor, Ball State, South Alabama, and Mercer. I know we're just doing SEC, but we had to for the full record.
Right.
Gosh, you better be 9-3 at least.
I think it's very possible. Highly possible. I think that is the expectation we can way too early.
Which then my next question to you is Auburn in the playoff in 25?
I think if you lose to Georgia at home and if you lose to Texas A&M on the road and your only other third loss is a very respectable one to an Alabama, it really just depends on how the rest of the conference and rest of college football shakes out. I think you're in contention for the playoff. You might just be barely left out, depending on how many SEC teams make it.
Yeah, and if I don't even know what the number. I feel like we're already talking about expanding, and we haven't even played 12 yet. So,
man, so
I think Auburn's in the playoff in 2025 with that schedule.
I am not.
Somebody clip that.
I am not clipping now for posterity.
Our assistants backstage, clip that.
The non-existent assistants backstage. You mean me? So
Yeah,
back here clipping things, which actually I'm going to clip it right now. They have a button I can clip things, so it is clipped for posterity for me. All that to be said, we'd love to hear some of y'all's thoughts about this 2025 SEC schedule. Again, we know we're way off for this, but it's just something we wanted to dive into a little bit while we're getting into the dog days of summer. We love to throw some random stuff for you. This is the Auburn experience, folks.
Do you need to pivot your chair and kind of get half and half here?
It's like Professor X. You just turn over here and just look at that wall right over that beautiful thing. You're going to distract me. We're not going to be able to do the show. I do a lot of content, folks, is what I'm getting at. And some of it's not Auburn related. I just went on vacation. And if you guys know me well enough, you'll know that I go to one place specifically a lot. Didn't plan it this way. It just happened. Of course, that's what all addicts say. But was that wrong to say? Sorry.
It's out there.
It's out there now. Clip it. I go to Disney World a lot. And when I say a lot, I go once a year. I don't have oodles and oodles of money to spend on this, but we work hard and we save it up to go to the most magical place on earth and ride the rides, eat. And if you could see the belly right now, eat the food. By the way, I was on a scale today at the doctor's office, and that was really painful to see the day after you get back.
Yeah. You let him know, right? That
I did. When they asked why something was hurting, I said it may have been from the amount of miles I walked around Epcot. Anyway, by the way, I had several War Eagle moments around the world.
I was hoping you had plenty.
I had plenty of War Eagle moments at other parks too. The ones that don't.
And it was returned to you.
Yes, they all were returned. Yes, it was a good week of non-embarrassing moments of being like, huh? What's going on? All right, the topic at hand. I'd like for us to propose this. The Auburn experience is wild. It's crazy. In fact, some people have said it's like a roller coaster, which makes it perfect segue into this. What is the Disney ride that most encapsulates the Auburn experience? If the Auburn experience was a Disney ride, what is it? You are familiar enough with this magical place to know some of these things, I believe, correct?
I am, but I want you to go first.
Oh, I can go first.
I have two. So if you wanna volley back and forth, we can do that.
We'll pick one by the end of this, I think. Here's the thing we need to say at the front. It's easy to say the Auburn experience is a roller coaster. That's easy. That's easy. And that may be what we pick at the end of this thing. But I want to try to do this is a podcast. If we just said it's a roller coaster, we're done with it. The show's over. So let's think about it a little bit. I'm going to throw out to you at Disney's Animal Kingdom, they have a safari ride, which can go one of two ways, really boring or really amazing.
Okay.
And I think for one, and also within those boring years, there's going to be some really wild moments that you are going to go, why did that happen? And how did that happen? AKA Iron Bowls, things like that.
Yep.
So to me, I think a good candidate for a Auburn Disney ride encapsulation is the safari ride, the Kilimanjaro Safari.
Ride.
That's my first volley.
That's a good one.
You return the favor.
That's a good one. And I love the safari ride. It is one of my favorites.
It's always good no matter what.
But you're right. There's times where you get on, it's like, man, we didn't see anything.
Like you might have a rhino in front of you like I just had, and we waited there for about 20 minutes for it to move legitimately. And that means that Auburn's team has not gotten a win in several weeks, but to correlate it. Go ahead.
Yeah. I like that one. Now, my first one is going to be similar or kind of play off of what you said with getting plenty of War Eagle moments, no matter where you are. Right. And you happen to be in Epcot, which is the all around the world. Right. And so wherever you are, if you find an Auburn person, you return that War Eagle back and forth. You could say that one could say, well, man, I feel like I'm back home. It's a small world after all.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm going with It's a Small World. How could it not be? If you're across the other side of the world, like I have been before, then you see an Auburn person, you chase them down to get your picture. You say, "War Eagle," you feel like you're back home on the plains. So it's a small world after all.
I thought you were going to equate the Epcot March of Death, which is not a ride, but it's an experience, to the Auburn experience, which in and of itself could be it. Small world.
Small world.
I'm with you.
We're not. I mean, now I know you were saying a ride specifically, not necessarily the essence of the ride.
I got you. I'm with you.
But that was my first thought when you gave me this. And peel back the curtain. Truth be told, I looked at his text 5 minutes before we started.
You said it, not me. You're out.
So that's where I'm at. That's my first one in my head. Return serve back to you.
I'm going to go ahead with an obvious one here. And when I say this too, folks, let's be real what the Auburn experience, especially right now, is. We're not going to say it's. Some people would say the best ride at Disney right now is this new one at Epcot, Galaxy's Edge. Not Galaxy's Edge. That's the Star Wars land. The roller coaster at Epcot with the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a fair statement. I've not been on it. We're not going to say that currently is the Auburn experience, because that's
definitely not.
It's definitely not. Okay, so let's be real here. Let's take our orange and blue glasses off, or 3D glasses off if you're in a theme park. Just like that way in there. I'm gonna go. I'll do an easy one, and I think this is probably where I'm gonna land.
Oh boy. Wait, what part?
No. I've got one that I think fits perfectly, so I'm gonna save that one. But I'm gonna use this one. This is Magic Kingdom. It is my favorite ride, which makes sense for my favorite team in school.
Oh,
Space Mountain. It is a ride that is thrilling, sometimes terrifying, no matter how many times you've ridden it, because you feel like the track will leave and you will careen into the darkness and never be seen again. But then, lo and behold, you come around a corner, there's a little bit of light, but then it's gone again. There's excitement, there's thrills, there's chills, there's why did I get on this? There's pain at the end of it. But when you get off it every single time, you're like, yes, give me another, sir.
Yes.
Space Mountain, baby, is the Auburn experience.
And it's like if the lights came on and you saw what all was going, you'd be like, why am I here?
Exactly.
Which on the People Mover, I've seen it with the lights on. And I'm like, I'm never sticking my hands up again. You can have that happen to you in the Auburn experience. You can be like, if I saw all the inner workings and saw everything that goes behind the scenes, I might keep my hands a little down. I might not be ready.
You might not do the full War Eagle, and then
I might just stay right here. That's a good one. All right, my second one is, I don't remember, you mentioned Galaxy Edge, which that's not the one, like the story one. I saw you.
The story one is the the Rise of the Resistance. It's the long 20-minute experience.
Galaxy Edge is you're driving the Falcon.
No, that is Smuggler's Run.
What's Galaxy Edge?
Galaxy Edge is the land. It's the
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm with you. Smuggler's Run is what I'm going with. And I'll tell you what, I've only ridden it once, so that's my first preface. But it has a similar way of what you're saying with Space Mountain. Is there's tons going on. Sometimes you're looking here, sometimes you're looking there. It's super exciting the entire time, but a lot of the time, like my brother and I, when we were driving, we were wondering what the heck is going on. I feel like in the highs and lows, you can ask yourself that question of the Auburn experience. What the heck is going on? But all of it can be thrilling.
Right.
Now, it might end where you're low and you all are only on the ride for 15 seconds because you crashed too many times. Or you might have a really high moment. You have had the time of your life and you have done whatever you needed to do in the Auburn experience. The Smuggler's Run will always leave you wondering what the heck is going on, much like the Auburn experience can do as well. That's my second one. Especially
when you're stuck with people who should never be piloting the ship.
That was me. I didn't know what I was doing.
You couldn't have been worse than what I experienced this trip.
And it's so quick. It's so quick that sometimes if you don't have people that you're like, well, I'm not waiting.
And rough if you don't have a head coach. If you don't have a head coach leading the way.
There you go.
It's the Auburn experience. Okay. So this is going to be my vote.
Those are the only two I had. So you can sway me right here.
And I think this is the strongest case. It is a roller coaster.
Okay.
It is a roller coaster it is Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
Which really narrows it down. I think you know where I'm going now.
I hope so.
Because it's not going to be Tron, because that's brand new and that's pretty awesome.
Never rode it. Haven't rode it yet.
Just rode it for the first time. It's pretty amazing. Thunder Mountain. Thunder Mountain Railroad.
Yeah.
It is, if you ride Thunder Mountain, there are times where you're like, this is for kids. It's got a little thrill to it, but it's good for what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then there are other times you'll ride it, and it's like they cranked up the speed or something like that, especially if you ride it at night. What happens in Jordan-Hare at night with the fireworks going? Have you ever ridden Thunder Mountain with the fireworks going off at the same
all in the
time,
back?
on the background?
I like this.
What is more the Auburn experience than a ride that you're just looking at on the surface? Like there's a season that quantifies this. The Cadillac led end of the year.
Yeah, there you go.
A season ago. That is Thunder Mountain to me. We got roughed up. It's a little bit rough of a ride too, but at the end of it, we had a great time. We were smiling.
Yeah.
And we had some pretty cool experiences, and it was worth the wait. So
I like it. I like it.
Thunder Mountain is the quintessential Auburn ride. It's good enough to be up there in the top echelon. You'll never forget about it, but it might have some times where you're just kind of like, it's okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's really good. You set that up and laid that out pretty well.
It's almost like we talked. Well, I thought about it pre-show. You thought about it 5 minutes before the show.
I did think about it 5 minutes, and there's a lot of parks to think through in 5 minutes. I'm just going to say
and you did a great job. You did a great job with
Thunder Mountain's a good one, and it's a classic.
It's a classic.
It's established. It's been around. Everybody knows about it.
It's like, we shouldn't have said that you planned this 5 minutes before the show. We should just act like you had this all thought out, because you did a great job with this.
Well, thank you. You know my setup to the left here. So Smuggler's Run had a little inspiration. I was looking at one of the pieces over here, and I was like, oh yeah.
One day we'll talk about to the left. I guess it's to the left for me too.
One day we're gonna do a collaboration Auburn experience, and we're just gonna be switching around. But no, I think Thunder Mountain is a good choice. I really like that.
Well, there you go. We'd love to hear some opinions from those of you that've been there for the Disney ride that exemplifies the Auburn experience for you. Share that with us. We'd love to talk about it with you more. That's going to do it for episode 77 of the Auburn Experience podcast. We talked about a lot today, a lot of variety, and still plenty much more to talk about in the coming episodes. If you want to keep up with me, do so on X at Kyle Loomis24. Where can they find you, sir?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott. It's where you can find me, and plenty more to talk about in the dog days of summer coming up.
Thanks for tuning in, hanging out with us, and spending some time being a part of our little family within the Auburn family. Till we talk to you again. War Eagle.
War Eagle.